Sustainability is a myth, as indicated by the second law of thermodynamics. Things break down. Entropy. It's a law. It's not a strong suggestion. It's the second law of thermodynamics. As an example, we emerge from the void, we take a few blinks, we go back into the void, and that's at the level of every organism. Think about the human lifespan, at the level of every culture, including industrial culture in which we are enmeshed, and every species. Homo sapiens, if we stop today, if our extinction comes tonight, say, then we will have lasted about 1/7 as long as the typical species of mammal. A couple 100,000 years. That's not long at all when you consider the run of the universe, for example, just this one little universe from amongst a multiverse. And I already mentioned the second law of thermodynamics in particular, although the laws of thermodynamics generally preclude sustainability. And if you need one more reason why sustainability is a myth, understand this. Who has the world's largest sustainability program? That would be Walmart. If that doesn't convince you that sustainability is a myth, I don't think there's anything I can say that would. Cheap plastic crap at Walmart is not about sustainability. Neoclassical economics assumes that we will always find substitutes, that we can continue infinite growth on a finite planet. As a consequence, obsolescence is built in. And particularly since World War II in this country, we make everything so that it's a throwaway object. Think about cars. Since World War II, every car gets a remake every year so that everybody can tell, you're not driving the 2012 Prius, you're driving the 2011 Prius, it's got those funny chrome wheels. You really should have the 2012. That's what designed obsolescence is all about. Make us feel like we need to consume more stuff. Biophysical economics has been proposed within the last 15 years or so. The leading champion is a guy named Charles Hall at State University of New York. The only person I know denied tenure at an Ivy League institution the same week he made the cover of Science for his work on energy. Doing excellent work in the realm of biophysical economics, which recognizes that we live on a finite planet, therefore there are limits to growth, and therefore that conservation might be a good idea instead of built-in obsolescence. Even the New York Times in late 2008 had an article that concluded neoclassical economics is dead, and the only way forward is biophysical economics. Of course, in every issue of the New York Times before and after that, they abandoned that notion, but there was a glimmer of hope there for one day on page E27 in the 4th column. It was very exciting for me when it happened. United Nations Environment Program points out that during 2008, global carbon emissions actually increased. This was a stunning surprise because some of you remember 2008 as the year of the Great Recession. The year we stopped calling them, the year we called it the Great Recession because we never call anything a depression anymore because that's too depressing. So it's just a recession. During the Great Recession, the industrial economy of the planet was not slowed enough to reduce carbon emissions. They set a record. The record, of course, has been shattered 3 times since then. And last year, 2011, we set an all-time record by increasing carbon emissions 6.5% over the year before, which is a 6% increase over the year before that. We're in exponential increase land when it comes to carbon emissions. We have become a totalitarian surveillance police state. Obedience at home, oppression abroad. We get what we want. And the costs don't matter. Just make sure my gas is cheap so I can get to the mall. Arundhati Roy wrote in her 2001 book, Power Politics, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And once you've seen it, keeping quiet, saying nothing becomes as political an act as speaking out. There's no innocence. Either way, you're accountable. Finally, too late in an unexamined life, I realized I was accountable. So I walked away. I walked away from a life I loved, teaching at a major university, teaching poetry in prisons, teaching honors students and others. And I love that life, but you cannot teach, you cannot point out the dark underbelly of industrial civilization and live at the apex of empire and look at yourself in the mirror every day. I put my own spin on Arundhati Roy's conclusion, pointing out that big energy poisons our water, big ag controls our seeds, big farm controls the behavior of our children, Wall Street controls the flow of money, big ag controls the messages you receive every day. The criminally rich get richer through crime. That's how America works. Through it all, we believe we're free. Yeah. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. What we have here at the apex of empire, here in the United States, the biggest and most violent, most destructive empire in the history of the world, is privilege. A huge amount of privilege. Most of that privilege results from transforming wildness into cities. I'm sorry I didn't make that clear. Of course, the fascist surveillance police state, which I described in those terms, is not going to appreciate resistance. The second reason, after the moral imperative, I went back to the land as an act of resistance. There's the moral imperative to the way we live as an act of resistance against the dominant paradigm, to give me more time to spread these messages unappreciated by my previous employer. And so on. The answers?